The world of crypto and blockchain, wow, it's just this relentless wave of change, isn't it?
It really is.
New tech popping up, markets doing their thing, regulation shifting,
Mm.
trying to keep up can feel like a full-time job.
Exactly.
And that's precisely why we do the deep dive. We try to wade through all that, the constant news cycle to pull out the stuff that really matters, the insights you actually need.
Precisely. And for this deep dive, focusing on the information we have from May 13th, 2025, our goal is really to get beyond just the headlines.
Right.
We want to properly understand the key market forces, what the SEC's actions might mean, and the impact of these big investments shaping crypto and related tech right now.
And yeah, there's quite a bit to unpack from our sources today. We'll be looking at the global crypto market picture,
Yeah.
zooming in on top U.S. tokens, analyzing recent price moves for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, talking about the SEC's Tokenization Roundtable, and they've got a DeFi one coming up too. Then there are these major Bitcoin investments by Nakamoto Holdings and Blockchain Group.
Huge news there.
Yeah. And Coinbase joining the S&P 500, Dubai adopting crypto payments, even Saudi Arabia making a big push into AI. So quite the mix.
Definitely.
Okay, let's dive right into that global crypto market overview first.
Okay, so what's kind of interesting here is this subtle divergence we're seeing. The overall market cap dipped just marginally, but
Uh-huh.
the trading volume in stablecoins actually saw a pretty significant jump.
Okay, so a dip overall, but more stablecoin action. What does that usually tell us?
Well, on the surface, a market dip looks negative. But this rise in stablecoin volume, it could mean something else.
Like what?
It might suggest investors are moving funds there, not necessarily to leave the market, but maybe to have capital ready, parking cash on the sidelines, basically.
Okay, so potentially accumulation rather than just outright selling off.
Exactly. It could be
Yeah.
a sign of people positioning themselves for future opportunities rather than a big rush for the exits.
That's a really interesting take. Strategic repositioning. And I mean, the numbers are still absolutely massive, even with that slight dip. Total market cap around, what, $3.4 trillion?
Yep.
And 24-hour trading volume, $186 billion. That's still huge activity.
It is. And if you look at the wider trends, we're also seeing increased activity in DeFi, decentralized finance.
Right.
Those blockchain-based financial apps, lending, borrowing, without the usual banks.
Yeah.
Volumes up there. And DEX, the decentralized exchanges where people trade directly, they're gaining more ground too.
Yeah, I saw Uniswap was doing close to $3 billion in 24 hours. And PancakeSwap, significant volume too.
Exactly. It suggests, growing use of these alternative systems.
And the big stablecoins, Tether, USDT, and Circle's USDC, they're holding steady with massive market caps. USDT's 24-hour volume was over $129 billion. Immense.
That kind of volume really just highlights how crucial stablecoins are, aren't they?
Right.
For trading, for stability in this volatile market. Now, if we look at the two big dogs, Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're seeing a little shift in their market dominance.
Dominance meaning their slice of the total crypto market pie.
Exactly. Bitcoin's share has slipped just a tiny bit, while Ethereum's has nudged up politely.
Okay, so Bitcoin's still king, just under 60%, market cap $2.03 trillion, about $64 billion traded in 24 hours. Ethereum's at $296 billion market cap, $33 billion volume, holding about 8.68% now. And both have been bouncing around a bit price-wise.
Yeah, and that slight shift, Bitcoin down a bit, Ethereum up a bit, it does make you wonder about market sentiment, Where's the focus shifting?
Could it mean more confidence building around Ethereum and what's happening on its network?
Possibly. It's something to watch, for sure.
Okay, let's pivot then to the top US-based tokens. Our sources put Ripple XRP at the top by market cap, $145.26 billion. That's pretty substantial.
It really is.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could XRP actually overtake Ethereum? There's definitely chatter in the sources about a potential Ripple ETF being a game changer.
It's certainly a scenario people are talking about. If the SEC were to approve a Ripple ETF, yeah, that would open XRP up to a whole new wave of traditional investors.
Which could drive up demand and price, presumably.
Potentially. And the XRP community is, well, famously enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to remember they're quite different beasts, right? Ripple's focus is payments. Ethereum is more this platform for decentralized apps. Fundamentally different uses.
Good point. Crucial difference. The sources also flag Solana, USDC, Dogecoin, Cardano as other big U.S. tokens by market cap. A diverse bunch.
Definitely.
Now let's zoom in on the recent price action. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. What are we seeing?
Okay, so Bitcoin was trading around $102,068, down slightly over 24 hours, but up quite a bit over the week.
Right.
Ethereum around $2,455. Similar pattern, down a touch short-term, but strong weekly gains.
And Ripple.
Ripple actually saw a price increase in the last 24 hours, trading near $248, and also had strong growth over the week.
Interesting. And the commentary in our sources links these ups and downs to a couple of things. First, President Trump pausing China tariffs temporarily, which you'd think would be good news, but apparently it might have sparked some market manipulation. And then broader economic stuff, specifically mentioning potential big changes in healthcare. It's always fascinating how traditional news hits the crypto world.
It really shows how interconnected everything's becoming, doesn't it? Traditional finance, politics. It sends ripples, no pun intended, through crypto.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. Shifting gears to regulation, the SEC's Tokenization Roundtable. That just happened.
Yeah, May 12th. Led by Commissioner Hester Pierce, who our sources note is generally seen as pretty crypto-friendly, or at least open-minded.
And it was open to the public online. No registration needed. That's good transparency.
It is. And the focus was on, well, tokenization representing real-world things like stocks or property on a blockchain. Two main panels, Capital Market 2.0 and the future of tokenization.
So what were the key takeaways or concerns raised?
A big part of the discussion was about the hurdles, particularly KYCML compliance, know your customer, anti-money laundering.
Right, verifying identity, stopping illicit funds.
Exactly. How do you effectively do that on open, permissionless blockchains where people can be pseudonymous? It's a real technical and regulatory puzzle. And they also talked about the difficulty of dealing with sanctioned countries in such a global, decentralized system. These are pretty critical things to figure out for tokenization to really take off widely.
Definitely. I noticed one comment in the sources, someone expressing a bit of skepticism about the hype, saying maybe current tech is fine for some things, especially if you need tight controls.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It pushes back a bit, asking, is blockchain always the best tool? Or are there times when traditional ways are still better? Encourages some critical thinking.
True. And the SEC isn't stopping there, right? There's another roundtable coming up.
Yes, on DeFi, decentralized finance. It was moved, now scheduled for June 9th.
So the SEC is definitely digging into these areas. Seems like they're trying to get their heads around it, maybe figure out some rules down the line.
That seems to be the direction, yeah. Continued engagement, trying to understand these evolving spaces.
Okay, now for some big money news. Nakamoto Holdings, led by David Bailey. They've secured a massive $710 million for a Bitcoin treasury strategy.
Wow.
Yeah. Sources suggest this could make them the largest public Bitcoin firm. That's a huge bet on Bitcoin.
It absolutely is. $710 million.
Yeah.
That's a major vote of confidence in Bitcoin as, a long-term store of value, a strategic asset for companies.
And the backers are notable, too. Over 200 investors.
Yeah, including some really prominent names in crypto. Adam Back, Fenac, Arrington Capital, Balaji Srinivasan. It just underlines that growing institutional interest in putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet.
And speaking of institutions and milestones, Coinbase, now officially part of the S&P 500.
Huge news for them.
Absolutely. Sources call it a landmark achievement, the first crypto exchange in the index. It feels like a big win for Coinbase, its shareholders, the whole industry, really, especially happening, as the sources note, during a strong market and with what some see as a more Bitcoin-friendly U.S. administration.
Yeah, getting into the S&P 500 is definitely a big step towards mainstream acceptance for crypto within traditional finance.
Makes it more visible to a much wider investor pool.
For sure. Now, the direct impact on, say, your average Coinbase user day-to-day might be limited, but symbolically, it's a sign the industry is maturing, no doubt.
We also heard about Blockchain Group. They're described as Europe's first publicly traded Bitcoin company.
That's right.
And they just raised over $22 million really fast, like under a week, specifically to boost their Bitcoin-focused strategy.
Interesting. How did they raise it?
2 rounds, apparently. An equity raise, almost $10 million, and then a Bitcoin-denominated convertible bond for $12.1 million.
A Bitcoin-denominated bond. Okay.
Yeah. And Adam Back is mentioned as an investor there, too. Seems like this corporate Bitcoin treasury idea is really catching on globally.
It does seem like more companies are seriously looking at adding Bitcoin to their capital plans. Blockchain Group's success shows it's not just a U.S. thing, it's happening in Europe, too.
And they've got an event coming up.
Yeah, and X Spaces, talking about Bitcoin for corporations, more evidence of that growing institutional interest.
Okay, let's look at global adoption now. Dubai Finance signing a deal, a memorandum of understanding with Crypto.com.
Yes, to allow crypto payments for government services.
Wow, okay, so paying your fees and stuff with crypto.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Using stablecoins via Crypto.com's platform, it fits right into Dubai's big push for a cashless society aiming to be fully digital.
That feels pretty significant, using crypto for everyday government interactions.
It really is. It brings real-world utility. Dubai is basically saying, we're serious about this, advancing their cashless goals and positioning themselves as leaders in financial innovation.
And they expect a big economic boost from going cashless overall.
Yeah, the projection mentioned is an $8 billion annual boost to the economy. So these kinds of initiatives are seen as having real economic impact.
Okay, and finally, shifting gears a bit, but still in the region, Saudi Arabia launching a new AI company.
Yes, spearheaded by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The focus is squarely on developing advanced AI tech.
And this is tied into their bigger picture plan, Vision 2030.
Exactly. It's all about diversifying their economy, moving away from such heavy reliance on oil.
Right.
So this new company, operating under their public investment fund, aims to build AI products, services, infrastructure. They want to be a major global AI hub, explicitly aiming to be significant outside the U.S.
That's ambitious. And they're already investing heavily in the U.S. too, right?
Yes, the sources mention a $600 billion investment commitment in the U.S. This AI push is another plank in their strategy to become a major tech player globally.
And the timing's interesting, just before a U.S. investment forum in Riyadh.
Yeah, where AI is expected to be a hot topic. It definitely emphasizes how strategically important they view AI.
So quite a landscape we've covered. Let's try and wrap it up. We've seen this dynamic crypto market maybe showing signs of strategic accumulation beneath the surface. We've seen major institutional moves, Nakamoto, Coinbase, blockchain group, big investments, big milestones.
Right, and the regulators grappling with tokenization and DeFi.
Yeah, the SEC keeping busy. Then real-world adoption steps in places like Dubai.
And this major strategic push into AI from Saudi Arabia, another huge technological shift happening alongside crypto.
It feels like this deep dive really tried to give you, the listener, a clearer picture of how all these things connect, right? The regulations, the money flows, the tech advancements, they're all tangled together.
Absolutely. It's all part of this ongoing evolution of finance and technology globally.
Yeah.
We wanted to get beyond just reporting the news and explore, the significance behind it all.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to mull over. When you consider all these interconnected pieces, the regulatory shifts, the huge institutional investments pouring in, the crypto tech getting more sophisticated, and these massive bets on AI, what do you see as the biggest long-term implication? Where is all this heading for the future of finance and tech? Is it just about crypto merging with traditional finance, or something even bigger happening with AI in the mix?
Yeah, how does this convergence of crypto, traditional finance, and powerful AI change things down the road? Definitely something fascinating to think about.